Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. It's been confirmed 30 little penguins found dead in Bicheno on Friday were likely to have been killed by dogs. The East Coast town is now banding together to protect its penguins from future attacks. And a warning, some viewers may find images in this story distressing.
Slaughtered and scattered among the rocks. Resident and marine biologist Debbie Gardiner was on a morning run with a friend last Friday when they stumbled on the massacre scene.
It was early morning and their little bodies were on the rocks and their white bellies were showing, and yeah, it was awful.
After examining the bodies, Parks and Wildlife says dogs are the likely culprits. It's not the first time the colony has fallen victim to canine attacks.
Like everyone, I think it was shock and dismay that we've experienced another dog attack in Tasmania on fairy penguins.
Tour operator Nick Wardlaw says killings like these hurt his business and others.
A lot of people pre-book and we've had a number of cancellations, not a huge amount, but people are ringing and are concerned that all penguins have been destroyed or lives have been taken, and this is not the case, of course.
This is what Bicheno's prized population looks like. But the attacks couldn't have come at a worse time, with many penguins now raising young.
Be a number of chicks that won't survive, and probably a number that are even going to have to be abandoned because that one penguin won't be able to raise those birds.
Next week, the town will hold a meeting to find answers on how to protect its most precious tourist attraction. The message for locals and tourists alike could just be keep your dogs under control.
There is a ripple of emotion and sadness. I had a heavy feeling all day after I witnessed those birds on my morning run. So I think that emotion is because we value these birds and because they are important to us, and so that ripples through the community.
The Pipwi are reminding the public if they know about alleged unlawful harm to wildlife, they can provide that information anonymously. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
And 7 Tasmania News understands firearms have been confiscated by police at a premises on Victoria Street in Ulverston. Police were seen taking bags of goods out of firearms store, guns and ammo. Officers have been at the scene for most of the day, but no details surrounding the incident have been released. Calls have emerged for those caught using their mobile phone behind the wheel to have their cars clamped. Despite an increased focus on those offenders, it's been revealed Tasmanians are not learning their lesson when it comes to distractions on the road, and it could be putting lives in danger.
An increasing distraction. The Motoring Insurance Board revealing recent campaigns have failed to change driver behaviour when it comes to using their phone behind the wheel. Now there's calls for more drastic consequences.
What they're doing on the mobile, and it's obvious to see, is even worse than the hoon sometimes. I think the community would go, fair enough, clamp the car for a month.
The intention is to again educate people, try to tell them what the consequences can be, but also make sure that they know there's a risk that they can be caught, because that obviously helps change behaviour.
It comes as a week of interrogation into the state government's businesses kicked off today. MAIB also revealing it's looking at new restrictions on learner drivers having friends in the car, and also wants to crack down on pedestrians using their phones.
Road safety is everybody's responsibility. Changing behaviour is very difficult and a very long process, and there's a series of strategies that are being implemented.
Turning to Taswater's hearing, the company has a long list of major infrastructure upgrades coming up. But after a tumultuous few years, there could be one more obstacle in the way.
My biggest concern in going forward is how we're going to get enough skilled people to do all the projects that we have out there. And that's going to be a challenge. Metro, Tasrail and Tasracing will front the hearings tomorrow. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
The jury in the murder trial of Belinda Leonie Colburn has been asked to approach the evidence given by co-accused Nathan Thomas Smith with extreme caution. Mr Smith took to the stand last week, saying he stabbed 41-year-old Aaron Matthew Monaco in 2016 and acted alone. But that was rejected by the Crown today, who said he was trying to protect his girlfriend.
The Crown began its closing statements here today by saying Miss Colburn is guilty of murder and that there are several facts of this case that aren't in dispute, like the fatal stab wounds that killed Mr Monaco in November 2016. An autopsy was conducted showing several knife punctures to the back, lower abdomen, armpit and hand. The blade allegedly used was shown to the jury, with the Crown asking them to consider that 2 of the wounds were from behind, meaning that Mr Monaco wouldn't have seen who did it. The Crown also making the case that Mr Monaco wasn't armed at the time and that was a made-up detail during Mr Smith's testimony last week. The police interview conducted with Miss Colburn the day after the murder was heavily relied on by the prosecution, drawing specific reference to when she told officers that she stabbed Mr Monaco and remembered physically stabbing him. But this was all refuted by the Defence Counsel, who said the recount of events given from the stand by Mr Smith is vital and urged the jury to accept that he stabbed Mr Monaco with no assistance, also making the case that Miss Colburn's police interview was made just to protect her partner and that she was addicted to him and loved him. The jury was also told to consider that even though she told police she was involved in the stabbing, it didn't actually mean she was. The jury were asked to consider 4 possible verdicts with this case, 1 being that she's guilty of murder, 2 that she's guilty of manslaughter, 3 that she's guilty of being an accessory after the fact of murder, or 4 that Miss Colburn is innocent. Proceedings are expected to continue tomorrow morning. Jessica Moran, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, the trial of a man accused of knocking a 90-year-old woman unconscious in April at her Launceston home is expected to begin on Monday in the Supreme Court. Shane Weldon has been charged with several counts of assault, destroying property, assaulting and resisting police, and 2 counts of aggravated burglary. He briefly appeared via video link today and has been remanded in custody. Mona has lifted the lid on a secret $5.5 million project, a new ferry to join the run between the Hobart waterfront and the museum. The Mona Roma 2 will help deal with booming visitor demand and offer some new experiences.
Cutting the pink fluffy ribbon in true Mona style to welcome an addition to the fleet. The Mona Roma 2, a sleek figure on the waterfront with its golden camouflage.
It's a different feel to the other boats, but once again it's got that sort of Mona theme through it, and I'm very pleased with the end result. It's a great feel to it.
Built by Richardson Devine Marine here in Tasmania, it's slightly smaller, carrying 60 less passengers between the Hobart waterfront and the Berrydale site. The sheep have been replaced with tigers and jungle animals. Downstairs, the posh pit has been expanded. Its style described as an evil billionaire's lair.
Which is a highly inappropriate theme for a ferry, but what can you expect inside? There's shag pile carpet, there is animal fur on the walls, there's mirrored ceilings.
It's a much needed addition for Mona as it hits the summer peak. With more services, it's set to trial flexible return tickets and later ferry runs.
So it's all about trying to make Mona a place that people can go to throughout the day and the evening, and not just through the day. So that's, as a company, that's part of our plan, just to put more fun things there at night.
The Mona effect has been extraordinary for our state, and the Tasmanian government's a proud partner. Tasmanian businesses can leverage off the strength of what is a massive growth in our creative industries.
The Mona Roma 2 enters service this weekend. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Construction is set to begin on an 86-room hotel in Launceston's CBD. Hotel Verge will be built on the old council car park in Cemetery Street. Launceston's mayor says the project will help meet rising demand.
We know that with tourism coming up in the years ahead that we're going to continue to increase in tourist numbers. We'll need more beds.
It's also hoped the development will pave the way for quicker approvals for projects in the future.
I think traditionally it's been difficult to get new hotels up in Launceston. It's paving the way to show that our economy's changed, that will now, in a way that will now allow new hotel developments to take place.
The hotel is expected to be completed by early 2020. A 51-year-old council worker who was crushed by a falling tree in Launceston yesterday is tonight in a serious but stable condition in the Royal Hobart Hospital. He was working on a drain at the time when a tree fell on him from behind, pinning him to the ground. The Launceston City Council says the trees in the Gorge car park area are reviewed regularly. WorkSafe Tasmania is investigating. A new art installation has sprung up in the centre of Hobart, telling the story of Tasmania's past. The work by internationally renowned artist Nigel Hellier features a model of Sir John Franklin's boat, a traditional Aboriginal canoe and archival footage. The Two Islands project was designed to represent the many different layers of history and meaning in Franklin Square. Speakers and sensors have also been placed within the work, allowing viewers to hear songs, environmental sounds or interviews about our past. 5 high-achieving dogs have completed an intensive 2 years of training and have today officially graduated as guide dogs. They're now getting to work in their important roles, helping to provide independence and companionship to Tasmanians with vision impairments.
This was a graduation ceremony that got tails wagging. 5 cute and important animals officially recognised as guide dogs today.
They play a vital role in our community of providing a vision impaired person with independence and access to the community, and just enables them to have a fulfilling life and get out and about.
As well as celebrating the achievements of these dogs, it's also a pat on the back for those on the other end of the leash. An army of trainers, handlers and carers.
We do it because we enjoy seeing a dog get through at the end, and we enjoy seeing people with some mobility and some friendship.
This is a team. You guide dog and you're the team. And you work together on what needs to happen and how it happens. It also means it gives you independence again.
Merrin was completely blind by the age of 14. She's been a grateful guide dog handler for 50 years. Earlier this year, she welcomed Jacob into her life.
The replacement is one of the most difficult things you'd need to do, to say goodbye to one dog and for the realisation that you have to start again with a new one.
2 dogs weren't suitable for guide dog duties, but will take on therapy, companion and ambassador roles.
We've also had dogs in the past that have gone to help someone with PTSD, and we're about to place a dog with a child with autism. So it's great that if they don't make it as a guide dog, all of that hard work, all of that money, all of that time that's gone in, they're still helping the wider community of Tasmania.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Let's take a look at the day's business and finance news now, with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market suffered near across-the-board losses as the positive sentiment from the trade truce brokered at the G20 summit dissipates. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 58.1 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 74 US cents and 83.38 Japanese yen.
And Tasmanian soccer fans will have more opportunity than ever before to catch their favourite NPL teams in action from next season, with Football Federation Tasmania unveiling an expanded 27-round fixture today, which includes more weekday and night games and an Anzac Day double-header at North Hobart Oval.
I believe that spreading the matches over the course of a week and also over a weekend will allow greater opportunity for people to access our matches.
FFT is also hoping the addition of new sides Riverside and Glenorchy Knights lifts the level of competition for 2019.
SPL the last 3 years, and looking forward to getting back into the big league, and we know that we can give the top teams a run for the money.
The NPL season begins on March 1 with a Friday night clash between Olympia and South Hobart at Warrior Park. Tasmanian Eddie Ockenden will co-captain the Kookaburras in tonight's Hockey World Cup clash in India. The Aussies can secure their spot in the knockout stage with victory against 7th-ranked England after narrowly beating Ireland 2-1 in their tournament opener. A win would also put the Kookaburras in a strong position to claim an automatic quarter-final berth ahead of their final pool match against China on Friday night. Tonight's match begins at 10:30. She's only 15 years old, but shreds Hobart skate parks as good as anyone in the state. And having recently secured support from the Australian and Tasmanian Institute of Sports, Grace Cochran is well on her way to becoming a star of the sport.
It's hard to believe Grace Cochran has only been skating a few years.
There's a group based here at EC Skate Park called She Shreds, which is just a bunch of girls. We get together and skate, have fun, lots of support. So I heard about it and decided to come on down one day and loved it.
But she didn't always look this comfortable on the board.
I was not naturally good at it at all. I was really awkward.
Spending every possible minute at the skate park, things eventually clicked.
I did this trick down there on that tiny little ramp, and it was just a 360 rock, and I fell off so hard on it, and I just stacked so hard, but then I got back up straight away and just landed it the next try.
Now the 15-year-old is one of the country's most exciting prospects, becoming the first Tasmanian ever to compete at the Bondi Bowl-O-Rama earlier in the year, before recently placing in the top 25 at the World Championships in China against the best on the planet.
Oh, it's amazing, especially all the Americans, the Brazilians, the Japanese, Chinese, all of them, they're all amazing, and it really pushes you.
And after receiving scholarship support from former surfing world champion Lane Beachley's Aim for the Stars Foundation, along with the AIS and TIS, it's set to be a massive 2019 and beyond for the young shredder.
Yeah, whether it's the next Olympics or the one after, that's definitely one of my goals. I'll just keep skating hard and see what happens.
Good evening. Temperatures ranged from -2 on Mount Wellington to our high today of 23 at Cressy. Hobart and Burnie a cool 19 degrees, Devonport 20 and Launceston 21. The westerly breeze has brought a few showers to the west and to the north and east, but mainly fine elsewhere. Friendly Beaches 21 degrees, Smithton, Low-Head, St Helens and Ouse all 18, the Bass Strait Islands 17 and Strawn 14 degrees. Low-level cloud moved over the west of the state in that fairly brisk airstream today. Now, that cloud also produced some cover over southern coastal areas of the mainland in a series of fronts also traversing the Southern Ocean. Tropical cyclone Owen is now tracking to the west from up north, and thunderstorms are situated over southeast Queensland. Tomorrow, the high moves over the Tasman Sea, extending a ridge over Tasmania. A cold front lies over southwest WA as a trough persists over the tropical north. The west to southwest winds will become more variable tomorrow and then tend northeasterly later in the day at 10 to 20 knots. Nothing to warn you about. A mostly sunny day for Hobart tomorrow, 23 degrees, 23 the top for Geefston, bit of cloud, a sunny day for Bothwell, warming up to 26. Launceston mostly sunny, 24 the high, 20 the top for Devonport, Cressy early fog but a fine afternoon and 25 degrees. Burnie 20 tomorrow and mostly sunny, Strawn okay and 21, 19 the top for Curry on King Island. St Helens mostly sunny and 21, 21 also for Swansea, Orford 20 degrees. The UV pushing into extreme territory. On Thursday mostly sunny with afternoon sea breezes in the south, showers over the west on Friday morning extending to central and southern areas in the afternoon. Cloudy on Saturday with showers more likely over inland areas from late morning. Warming up to 34 in Adelaide tomorrow. Sunny as well for Melbourne, some cloud over Canberra and Sydney, possible storms for Brisbane and Darwin. Little bit of cloud about. Hobart 19 degrees, bit of cloud over Launceston 21, Devonport partly cloudy and 18, but the clouds will part, Joe, and considering you only work an hour a day, plenty of time for sun tanning tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic. I'll make the most of it. Thank you very much, Murph.